It's 2 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling. Your mind is racing with thoughts you can't turn off. Replaying that conversation from yesterday, worrying about tomorrow. Thinking about everything you should have said or done differently. Or maybe it's the middle of your day. Everything seems fine, and then boom. Out of nowhere, anxiety crashes over you like a wave. Your chest tightens, your thoughts start spiraling, and you feel completely out of control. We've all been there. That moment when your emotions hijack your mind and you feel powerless to stop them. But here's something incredible that most people never learn. You're not actually powerless. Not even close. Your brain has a natural mechanism that can stop negative emotions in their tracks. And the science behind it is so simple, so elegant, that once you understand it, you'll wonder why nobody ever taught you this before. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how your brain works when emotions take over, and more importantly, how you can take back control in less time than it takes to make a cup of coffee. This isn't about positive thinking or pretending everything's okay when it's not. This is real neuroscience that you can use right now today to master your mind and your emotions. Ready? Let's go. Okay, so let's start with what's actually going on in your brain when you feel like your emotions are controlling you. Deep inside your brain, there's this tiny almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. Now, I know that sounds technical, but stay with me, because this is fascinating. Your amygdala is basically your brain's built-in alarm system. Its entire job is to scan for threats and keep you safe. And it's incredibly good at what it does. When your ancestors were living in the wild and a tiger showed up, the amygdala would instantly trigger the fight-or-flight response, heart racing, adrenaline pumping, muscles ready to run or fight. This system literally kept humans alive for thousands of years. But here's the wild part. Your amygdala hasn't evolved much since then. It still operates like you're living in the wilderness surrounded by predators. The problem is, you're living in the modern world where the threats are things like difficult conversations, deadlines, social media posts, or that text message you're overthinking. Your amygdala can't tell the difference between a real physical threat and a perceived emotional threat. So when your boss criticizes your work, when someone cuts you off in traffic, when you compare yourself to someone on Instagram and feel inadequate, your amygdala reacts the exact same way it would if you were facing actual danger. It floods your system with stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline. Your heart starts pounding, your breathing gets shallow, your muscles tense up, and your thoughts go into overdrive. And here's the part that really matters when your amygdala gets activated like this. It literally hijacks your prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain right behind your forehead that's responsible for rational thinking, problem solving, and emotional regulation. Dr. Daniel Goleman, who's a psychologist and one of the leading researchers in emotional intelligence, calls this an amygdala hijack. Your emotional brain takes the wheel, and your logical brain becomes a passenger. This is why you can't think straight when you're angry, why you say things you don't mean when you're upset, why you make decisions you later regret when you're emotional. Your rational brain is temporarily offline, and your emotional brain is running the show. Now you might be thinking, okay, that explains why I feel this way, but how do I stop it? And that's where the science gets really interesting. There's this incredible neuroscientist named Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor. She's a Harvard-trained brain researcher, and she made a discovery that completely changed how we understand emotions. She found that when an emotion gets triggered in your brain, the actual chemical response, the flood of hormones and neurotransmitters that creates the physical sensation of that emotion, it runs through your entire body and then completely flushes out of your bloodstream in exactly 90 seconds. 90 seconds. That's all. Let that sink in for a moment. Anger? 90 seconds. Anxiety? 90 seconds. Sadness? Fear? Frustration? All of them. Just 90 seconds in their pure physiological form. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, I've been angry for hours. I've been anxious for days. How can you tell me emotions only last 90 seconds? And that's the key insight. After those initial 90 seconds, if you're still feeling that emotion, it's not because the chemical response is still happening. It's because you're choosing often unconsciously, to keep that emotion alive by continuing to think the thoughts that triggered it. You're replaying the situation in your mind. You're telling yourself stories about what it means. You're imagining worst-case scenarios. You're rehashing old memories that confirm how you're feeling. You're not experiencing the emotion anymore. You're recreating it over and over and over again with your thoughts. Think about the last time you got really angry at someone. The initial flash of anger, that hot surge you felt in the moment, that probably lasted about 90 seconds. But then you kept thinking about what they said. You kept imagining what you should have said back. You kept telling yourself the story of how they were wrong and you were right. And that anger stuck around for hours, maybe days. You weren't feeling the original anger. You were generating new anger repeatedly by feeding it with your thoughts. And here's why this is such a game changer. Once you realize this, you understand that you're not a victim of your emotions. You're not powerless. You have a choice. In those first 90 seconds, you can either let the emotion run its natural course and pass through you, or you can grab onto it with your thoughts and stretch it out indefinitely. Most people don't even know they have this choice because nobody ever taught them. But now you know, and that changes everything. So let's get practical. How do you actually use this knowledge to take control of your mind and stop negative emotions fast? I'm going to give you 3 powerful techniques that work immediately. These aren't complicated. They don't require years of meditation practice or therapy. They're simple science-backed strategies that you can start using right now. Technique number 1, ride the 90-second wave. The next time you feel a negative emotion starting to rise, here's what you do. First, don't run from it. Don't try to suppress it or push it away. That actually makes it stronger. And definitely don't judge yourself for feeling it. Instead, acknowledge it. Out loud if you can, or just in your mind. Say something like, "I'm feeling really angry right now," or "I notice anxiety coming up in my body." This might sound too simple to work, but there's powerful neuroscience behind it. When you name an emotion, you activate your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, and that activation actually starts to calm down your amygdala. There's research published in the journal Psychological Science that proves this. They put people in brain scanners and showed them pictures designed to trigger negative emotions. When people just looked at the pictures, their amygdala lit up like a Christmas tree. But when they labeled what they were feeling, when they said, "I'm feeling afraid" or "I'm feeling angry," their amygdala activity decreased significantly. Scientists call this effect labeling. But you can just think of it as taking the power out of the emotion by simply naming it. Now here's the second part. Once you've acknowledged the emotion, just observe it. Don't engage with the story behind it. Don't ask yourself why you're feeling this way. Don't replay what just happened. Just notice the physical sensations in your body. Where do you feel it? Is your chest tight? Is your stomach in knots? Are your shoulders up by your ears? Is your jaw clenched? And breathe. Slow, deep breaths. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Keep your attention on the physical sensation in your breath. You're not trying to make the emotion go away. You're just observing it like you're a scientist studying an interesting phenomenon. You're creating space between you and the emotion instead of being consumed by it. And here's what happens. After about 90 seconds, you'll notice the intensity starting to drop. The grip it has on you loosens. The sensation in your body softens. Your mind starts to clear. The emotion might not completely disappear, but it will lose its power over you. And that's when your rational brain comes back online, and you can choose how you want to respond instead of just reacting automatically. I use this technique all the time. Someone says something that triggers me, and instead of immediately snapping back or spiraling into a story about what it means, I pause, I notice the flash of anger or hurt. I breathe. I let it move through me. And by the time those 90 seconds are up, I'm calm enough to respond in a way I'm actually proud of. It's like having a superpower, and the more you practice it, the better you get at it. Technique number 2, question the story. Okay, so you've made it through the initial 90 seconds, the chemical flood has passed, but maybe you're still feeling something lingering. Maybe your mind is still trying to pull you into negative thinking. This is where you need to understand something crucial. Your thoughts create your emotions, not the other way around. The situation itself doesn't make you feel a certain way. It's the meaning you assign to that situation, the story you tell yourself about it, that creates the emotion. Let me give you an example. Let's say you text a friend and they don't respond for hours. The situation is neutral. It's just a fact. They didn't text back, but your mind immediately creates a story. They're ignoring me. They don't care about me. I must have said something wrong. They probably don't even want to be my friend anymore. And those thoughts create anxiety, sadness, maybe even anger. But what if they're just busy? What if their phone died? What if they saw your message but got distracted and forgot to respond? Those are equally valid interpretations, but they don't create the same emotional response. This is the foundation of cognitive behavioral therapy, which is one of the most researched and effective psychological approaches in the world. The idea is that most of our suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from the thoughts we have about what happens to us. And the beautiful thing is, thoughts can be changed. So here's what you do. When you catch yourself spiraling into negativity, pause and question the story you're telling yourself. Ask yourself, is this thought actually true, or is it just an interpretation? Then ask, what's another way I could look at this situation? And finally, what would I tell a good friend if they were thinking this way about themselves? Let's say you make a mistake at work and your inner voice says, I'm so stupid, I'm terrible at my job. I'm probably going to get fired. Pause, question it. Is that actually true? Or is it just one mistake on one day? Have you succeeded at other things? Have other people given you positive feedback? What would you tell a friend who made the same mistake? You'd probably say something like, hey, everyone makes mistakes. It doesn't mean you're bad at your job. It just means you're human. Learn from it and move forward. Why not give yourself the same compassion and logic you'd give someone else? When you challenge your automatic negative thoughts and look for more balanced, realistic interpretations, you literally change your emotional state. You take away the fuel that's keeping the negative emotion alive. Studies show that people who practice this kind of cognitive reframing significantly reduce anxiety and depression over time. You're not just managing emotions in the moment. You're rewiring your brain to think differently. Technique number 3, change your body, change your mind. This one is my personal favorite because it's so immediate and powerful. Your mind and body are not separate. They're deeply connected. And when you change your physical state, your mental and emotional state follows. When you're stuck in a negative emotion, your body is locked in a stress response. Your breathing is shallow and fast. Your muscles are tense. Your posture is probably collapsed. And this physical state sends signals back to your brain that reinforce the message that something is wrong. So you interrupt the loop by changing your physiology. Here are some of the most effective ways to do this. Move your body, go for a walk, especially outside. There's something about rhythmic movement that naturally calms your nervous system. Research shows that just 20 minutes of walking can significantly reduce cortisol and improve your mood. If you can, get into nature. There are studies proving that being in natural environments, even looking at trees, reduces activity in the part of your brain associated with rumination and negative thinking. Or do something more intense. Dance. Do jumping jacks. Go for a run. Lift something heavy. When you move your body explosively, you burn off the stress hormones that are flooding your system and you release endorphins, which are your brain's natural feel-good chemicals. Another incredibly powerful tool is cold exposure. Splash cold water on your face. Take a cold shower, even just holding ice cubes in your hands. Cold activates your vagus nerve, which is like the main cable of your body's calming system. It literally shifts you from fight or flight into rest and digest mode. You can also change your facial expression. I know this sounds almost too simple, but smiling, even when you don't feel like it, actually improves your mood. There's something called the facial feedback hypothesis, which shows that your brain takes cues from your facial muscles. When you smile, your brain interprets that as, we must be happy, and adjusts your neurochemistry to match or try power posing. Stand up tall, chest out, shoulders back, hands on your hips like a superhero. Hold that pose for 2 minutes. Research by social psychologist Amy Cuddy found that this simple act increases your confidence hormones and decreases your stress hormones. The point is, Don't just sit there stuck in your head. Move, breathe, change your physical state. Give your body the signal that the threat is over and your mind will follow. Here's what I want you to really understand. Controlling your mind and stopping negative emotions isn't about never feeling bad. It's not about toxic positivity or pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's about awareness. It's about skill, and it's about choice. You become aware of what's happening in your brain and body. You develop the skills to interrupt automatic negative patterns, and you exercise your power to choose your response instead of being controlled by your reactions. And every single time you practice these techniques, something incredible happens in your brain. You're literally rewiring it. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. Your brain is constantly changing and adapting based on what you practice. When you practice observing emotions without reacting, you strengthen the connection between your prefrontal cortex and your amygdala. You get better at emotional regulation. When you practice questioning your thoughts, you create new neural pathways that make balanced thinking more automatic. When you practice changing your physical state, you train your nervous system to recover from stress faster. You're not just managing emotions in the moment, you're building lasting resilience and emotional intelligence. Think of it like going to the gym. The first time you lift weights, it's hard, but the more you do it, the stronger you get. Your muscles adapt, and eventually what used to be difficult becomes easy. Your brain works the same way. The first few times you try these techniques, they might feel awkward or challenging, but the more you practice, the easier they become. You start catching yourself earlier. You recover faster. You stay calm in situations that used to completely overwhelm you. This is how you truly master your mind. This is how you become the kind of person who doesn't get swept away by every emotion that comes up. And let me tell you, that is freedom, real freedom. All right, let's bring it home. Today you learned that negative emotions are triggered by your amygdala, your brain's alarm system, which hijacks your rational thinking. But you also learned that emotions only last 90 seconds in their pure form. After that, you're keeping them alive with the stories you tell yourself. And you now have 3 powerful, science-backed techniques to take control. Ride the 90-second wave by acknowledging and observing your emotions without engaging with the story. Question the story by challenging negative thoughts and finding more balanced perspectives. And change your body to change your mind by using movement, breathing, or physiological shifts. Here's my challenge for you. The very next time you feel a negative emotion rising, use one of these techniques. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't overthink it. Just try it. Notice what happens. Notice how much control you actually have when you use these tools. Notice how quickly you can shift from feeling overwhelmed to feeling centered and calm. And remember, you're not trying to become some emotionless robot who never feels anything. Emotions are part of being human. They're valuable information. They tell you what matters to you and what needs your attention. What you're learning is how to feel your emotions without being controlled by them, how to process them and move through them instead of getting stuck in endless loops of negativity. That's emotional mastery, that's true strength, and you absolutely have the power to develop it. If this video resonated with you, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you want more content on mindset, mental wellness, and personal growth backed by real science, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for being here. Thank you for investing in yourself and your growth. I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay aware, and keep growing.